Damn, damn, y'all rushing me. Can y'all hear me? Dang, dang, why y'all rushing me? I dropped the link. Shit, since y'all rushing and stuff, I had to do something. You know, I ain't think it's gonna take me longer than what I said. Can you hear me? Oh, bitch. She could go live, bitch. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? Huh? Look, Giggle Bunny, you just got. Girl, listen, it took me forever. Okay. But, Trip, I need you to send me that video again while you rushing me in the back. girl, girl, not here rushing me. It don't make no sense. But I apologize though, because I am super late and shit. So that's my bad. Okay, I'm trying to find the video. I could have sworn I had that shit in my history, but for some reason I can't find it. I cannot find it. How long ago was that? Yeah, I'm sure you sent it to me, and don't play with me neither. Talking about it's advanced. Okay, nigga. It ain't that advanced. It ain't advanced from all the other shit I done seen and witnessed and watched and viewed and studied, did research on. The hell? No. Ooh, bitch, they erased that bitch out of my motherfucking history. They not right. They erased the video out of my history because I literally clicked on it so I could save it. And I don't even see it. How long ago that was, though? How many days ago that was? I be watching a lot of shit. Look, I was watching a lot of stuff, okay? What the fuck is that? Oh, y'all, I saw this 3 days ago. Okay, it's 3 days ago. I figured it was. I don't need it. I got it, nigga. Aha. Well, how you talking about I ain't got it and you don't got it? Ain't that some shit? Okay, hold on. Cause I got it now. So hush. Oh, now you have it. Okay, y'all. For all y'all that's in here, we're about to review this video and also talk about the spirit world versus damn, doing too much stuff at one time. The spirit world versus oh the science world, child. Hey Houston. So this video is supposed to be some highly advanced type shit. Hey newbie, is you ready, newbie? I don't know where Brooke at, but y'all need to come on hit this link now so we can get into this commentary about it. Okay. Now, this video is a video that Trip actually recommended to me, child. So girl, it's about 2 hours long. But we ain't gonna do 2 hours of the whole video, right? Because that's just too much. We ain't gonna review 10 hours of the video. I mean, the 2 hours of the video, but we'll give it a thought. See what he's saying, what he talk about, because he talk about lost civilizations and shit. So, let's see what he talking about. And he giving something different from everybody else. Hold on, because I gotta make sure this him. Okay, there go newbie.
You
I
know it's
see you,
me.
newbie.
So hold on.
Well, it's kind of different. Your background is different.
Who, me?
I know.
No, his. See?
Oh, okay.
I just did that to be
Why you
dramatic.
you did.
So no, real quick. So that video, I really didn't think you were about to share that with the public, but go for it. But it is a long video, and the point of it. Hey, newbie, by the way, the
Hey,
point
baby.
of it is, it's kind of one of those videos that you really do got to watch all the way through. So I don't know how you're gonna be able to jump around it and stuff like that. So I'll definitely be interested to see how you're gonna break it down. But yeah, so what was you gonna do? You gonna review it with what, you, newbie, and Brooke? Am I talking to myself here?
Yeah.
I'm hearing you.
Oh,
And
okay.
then
I
we
didn't
were
hear
just
it.
gonna get into the whole, conversation. Did it connect?
Because this isn't technically science versus
Nah, I can't do that
religion.
shit.
That's why that's not really what this video is doing.
No,
Just so you know.
I wanted to do this video. I just wanted to see this video, but then we gonna get into the conversation. It's
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
saying.
All right.
I wanted to view this video, but we is gonna get into the whole conversation thing about the science versus the spirit world. So, yeah, that's why I said we wasn't gonna do the whole 2 hours of the video.
Well, hopefully you ain't lose Brooke, because I know she was waiting for about 45 minutes.
Yeah, y'all was waiting a long time. But usually, if I say I'm coming back at a certain time, you should know I'm not coming back at a certain time. You should know that by now.
Honey, I was cooking. I set my notification and kept right on cooking, okay?
I heard that, newbie.
I know
I'm
that's
waiting on
right,
my food to
newbie,
get here,
right?
and then I'm about to do some stuff, but I'll be in and out. We'll see if
All right.
she coming. I can sit here
Okay,
for a little
Brooke said
bit.
she on her way up.
Okay, cool.
Oh, there she goes. And visiting me, I wasn't scared, but talking about it scary. Oh, okay, June G. Hey, Bella's World. Girl, she loves my conspiracy lies.
Yeah, I'll stay for a little bit in the beginning in case you got like questions or whatever. I need to
Okay.
rewatch it myself anyway.
I shared it on my community wall, newbie. If you want to do your share screen, and I can be lazy and I do mine.
Ain't that something? Let me go find it. Hmm.
Ain't that the truth? CPT. Mm-hmm. You must be on your computer. You sound better.
Oh, and newbie, I didn't know you had drawn down in my chat that other day when I had that background and you said you couldn't, deal with the background. I did not see your comment. So
I,
I want
I
you to know that
covered
was
up my
not
phone.
towards you.
No, you good. But here's the
Is this
thing.
good?
I had an option to leave or fix it. So I just took a little post-it and stuck it over my phone so I didn't have to look at the background. And I was good.
Well, I switched the background on the main spaceship. Now, I want to know if this background is good because I can switch this one.
Um, yeah, if you could do that for me.
Switch it. Okay.
Now, can you explain to her why? Because I think she was confused. Or do you know why
It's
that's the
me.
case, Pizarro?
It's me.
Hey,
What?
Brooke.
What was the case?
Hey,
No,
everybody.
you seem like you were confused on why we were trying to tell you that. So I didn't know if you wanted some education or stuff from newbie on that, or you know why.
Yeah, I know why. Y'all all told me why.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know because you was trying to give us a lot of fever, so I ain't know you was just being honorary or what.
Yeah, and I like it. It's cute.
But
It really is. I like it. I just, I have to handle me. And what happened, I got a little headache, okay? Because I was trying to just look at the chat and not look at that, but I guess my peripheral was catching it. My head got to hurting a little bit, but when my dog Loki is a service dog, okay? When Loki came up next to me,
is that better?
that's good, and got to whimpering, I knew. So I just, like I said, took a post-it and put that on the top of my, where that was showing, and then I was all right. Because I'm not gonna tell you how to run your thing. If it ain't good for me, I can leave.
Hey, Lady Nika. Well, yeah, I'm not
Hey,
trying to have
everybody.
nobody have episodes and stuff and they medical problems happen and stuff due to my background. So I was being stubborn about it, though. I ain't gonna lie. But I still switched it. Especially since Snoop sent me these cute pictures.
It's a bunch of cute pictures. I'd be wondering because I could send you some too. I guess maybe I'll send them to Brianna. Have her send them to you when I see them.
Well, you could put them on your community wall like Voodoo
Oh
does.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that too. I'll be forgetting. I'll do
Yeah,
that too.
Voodoo be having some good ones too. I'll be saving hers as well. I don't know how they be finding those kind of pictures, but listen, I'm glad they did. Hey y'all coming in. We haven't got to the commentary yet.
Pizza, I cannot get
Say that.
my, I don't know if it's user error or the little wine I
What's
had, but
wrong? What you trying to do, Miss Newbie?
she want me to share screen and show this video. She said it's on her community wall. Can you do it,
Are you on
Brookie?
your laptop?
I am.
Okay. You got the tab with the video on it, right?
Mm-mm. She said it's on her community wall. I can't get to it.
So you're gonna have to open up another tab. This is not gonna go anywhere. So you're gonna have to click on the plus sign at the top and
Okay.
open up another tab and go to her channel.
Okay.
Look at Bree. I know you not talking when you always late.
I thought Bree said she was taking a nap.
Girl, she not. Trust me, she not. If you ain't, let me see if I could get it for you.
Would it be easier if I put it in the back chat for you?
Yes,
Yeah, put
please.
it in the
Okay,
back
yeah.
Yeah,
chat. Look.
because it should open up another window on its own when you click on the link.
Every time, it's back that newbie. Every time, Bree, you be having us waiting 20 minutes, 40 minutes. Girl, bye.
Well, who do you think be later though? It's usually you're the one that usually make us wait the longest though.
Yeah, it is me. I definitely, I have y'all waiting for hours. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I remember you
I
made
think
us wait
everybody in
7 hours
that
once.
department.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know the dedication y'all have for me, though.
Mm.
Usually, because they know a lot of shit gonna pop off. Hey, Brick girl.
You rolling up a blunt right now?
I already did.
Oh, okay. Because I heard that lighter going. I said, look at her.
Okay, we ready?
If you click
Yes.
that little or that full screen at the bottom right, it should make it bigger, right? I'm just curious.
Yeah, the full at the bottom. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, say when. We ready?
Yep.
All right.
This show is for the expansive, open-minded creative whose persistent curiosity towards integrating new information in their lives never stops. Think of it as the free thinker's toolkit for anyone that refuses to enroll in the conformity of all of those around them, instead forging their own paths with fortitude and love. It's that slightly unapologetic conversation with that new friend you just met that sort of wistfully and effortlessly pushes the conversation into spaces that you never expected. It's the deep-hearted conversations with purposeful and thoughtful individuals that have finally figured out their superpowers and are now
You can probably
pouring into
skip
it
past
with
some of
gusto
this
and love. We're delighted to
crap.
host these conversations with you that lead us down the conversation well.
A pretty big name in our field, and we get labeled. It's kind of a ridiculous name, but we're alternative ancient history researchers, or as the mainstream calls us, pseudo archaeologists. And we dabble in everything from, as you mentioned, understanding the nature of reality, physics, quantum physics, the smallest form of particles and vibrational frequency, to, how old is our story? How sophisticated were these ancient civilizations, and how sophisticated are we? It's a very interesting set of concepts that actually all fit into each other in a very holistic way. And so I'm looking forward to getting into some of those conversations with you tonight.
So the centerpiece of the conversation, thank you, Matt, will be 10 ideas that will just blow your mind about the history of humanity and the origins that we've been taught. So our entire lives we've been taught the theory of Darwinism, whether you believe in a religion or not, the ideology around religion or the dogma around religion. And he's going to dive into 10 ideas that are literally going to disintegrate everything that we've been taught. And the cool thing about it is it's not just sort of his superstitions or his theories. He has data around all of it. And most of this data is suppressed and hidden from us for reasons that he's going to discuss. But I want to say one thing before you jump in and just kind of jump into some of our questions. I don't think a lot of people have ever introduced you this way. And one of the impressions I have about you, thank you for agreeing to be here. But I listened to a podcast of yours about 6 months ago, and you were on it with about 4 or 5 other men. And all of you were presenting your ideas, and everybody was sort of fighting for airwaves and their theories. And there was an argument that ensued. And you had been quiet the whole show, and I just kept waiting. I was like, when is Matt going to jump in? When's Matt going to jump in? And finally, instead of jumping in to try to prove yourself to anyone else, and this is what I absolutely love about you, is your modesty and your humility.
Thank you.
You jumped in, and instead of presenting and trying to prove someone wrong, you said, gentlemen, if we're going to do this show and have any sort of a constructive conversation, everyone needs to take the time and the respect and the decency to listen to each other. It's not an argument. Everybody has their context. Everybody has their theories. Everyone should have the opportunity to present that. And I was blown away by that, because most people of your intellectual capacity and the other people that you sort of were sparring with, if you will, on that show, or you weren't sparring, but they were, everyone was out there to prove a point. And you just sort of laid back, let people do their thing. And I was like, this dude is the real deal. And that's when I first started thinking about how I could get you on the show. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
It's really cool that you did that on so many levels, and it says a lot about you. And I'm really excited to kind of dive into some of the questions that we have for you. It's a little bit, sorry, and I'm talking a lot, and I'll let you have the mic. This show is a little bit different than a typical show we have on our show, but the new concept sort of centers right around that. So I'm really excited that you are kind of the inaugural keynote speaker on this show. So thank you.
Wow, it's an honor. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, so first question we're going to dive into, again, 10 ideas that will blow your mind about the origins of humanity. And the first question that I learned, and as I've started digging down this rabbit hole about 5 years ago, which led me to you, was that human civilizations were told roughly they started recorded human history, and correct me on my numbers, around 6,000 years ago. But we're basically told that the original humans were only, I think it's at 20,000 years old, roughly. Is that correct? Am I right about that, or are my numbers off?
Well, it depends on if you're talking about how they talk about like the pre-Homo sapiens sapien, like getting into Denisovan and Neanderthal. That's where the disconnect comes in, where we're looking at this. We're like, okay, well, what are we? Are we just one of these pre-hominid Neanderthal Denisovians, or is there a lot more to the story? And that's where that timeline. What we're really talking about here is not when pre-humans ever started and existed on the planet, but when did civilization begin? And when did we go from being hunter-gatherers to something that's much more sophisticated? And that story is actually recorded in ancient tablets and texts around the world, and in stories, and it's not anything like we're told in books. It's completely different, and there's a reason why that is the way it is. And I don't know if you want me to just keep going, or you had a follow-up on that.
No, I don't have a follow-up. So that first question is how old, based upon your research and your science and your data, is human civilizations? And sort of, if you may, kind of tell us where it all began from your perspective.
Sure.
And I would like to know as well, sorry, as we load you with questions, the reason why we're told a different story.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting history of how this all got started. Basically, the beginnings of all of this was, I guess you could say, a certain group of intellectuals, part of certain secret societies. And esoteric secret societies go back thousands and thousands of years. Some of the first ones we know of were in Babylon, and they were part of these groups that were priests and high knowledge individuals that knew a lot more than the rest of the population. And they realized that one of the biggest threats that could exist is us truly understanding what we are and how significant we are to the planet and the universe, and so much more than we know. And all of that information, though, is not just someone's perspective. It's been recorded in ancient text for thousands and thousands of years earlier than we even it's admitted in school on when civilizations were sophisticated. Basically, what we need to do is have an understanding of science and geology and climate.
Can you pause it for a second?
Don't just reject all of it. Like, have a basis for some of those things, but then be open-minded to say, well, maybe this thing isn't quite right, and maybe this isn't quite right, and we need to rethink about how these pieces fit in. And I just want to give a brief example of that before I talk about where civilization started. In school, I remember being very almost depressed with the idea that we're just this this advanced ape that somehow through Darwinism rose up through survival of the fittest, and here we are just sort of conquering our world, and that consciousness was being derived teaches us. Now, the thing to mention about school is that the entire education system in the United
Okay, Pizarro dealing with her sound bites right now. So what I had put in the back chat was, it seems like they're asking him questions. If you can stop it after the question so that we can give what we believe, like after he answers it before you go to the next one, what our inputs are on the question.
Okay, my bad. I had
Real
to.
I don't know. Okay,
Let
no
me add
problem.
this real quick too. I don't think you should necessarily pause it after every question, or you're gonna be pausing it a lot because they pause like he asked a ton of questions. I think after every maybe main point because he's going through 10 facts for lost civilizations. That's the title, right? So maybe after each fact, or like maybe like each like main point within a fact. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah,
what do you
as
think?
long as
I'm
it's so
down
that
for
you
either
won't get
or.
hit for it. That's all. Too, because you
Oh,
got to still input the copy and you got to input the commentary with it. That's why I'll kind of say each question. But okay,
oh no, yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe like main questions or whatever, because they yeah, we'll determine it.
you're good.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, y'all gonna have to kind of cry out because I'm multitasking while I'm doing this. So my bad, because I had to run out right quick and I came back and saw the comments and paused it. So
Oh no, you're
No, you
good.
good.
And I don't know if I know Pizarro's dealing with her sound bites, but if she's gonna be missing it, then she's not gonna really be able to participate in the conversation. So I don't know if she can still hear it or not. So let me know in the chat, Pizarro.
She can
But you go
still hear
ahead.
it. She can still hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, so y'all ready to go or we waiting?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, let me mute.
United States was developed by the Rockefeller Institution. Now there's a curriculum that was basically developed where this is how you have to talk about biology, you talk about history, you have to talk about all these things have to be in this laid out format. And if the teacher was to be like, well, wait a minute, I don't know if I really like fully agree with that. And if they were to try to not teach that same version, they would lose their license. They would not be able to teach. And so what you have is really and I know there's some amazing teachers that are out there that sort of push the limits a little bit and get people to critically think a bit. I know that does exist, but it's not the norm. Typically, you have a teacher that's just spouting off this regurgitated information that's the same as every other teacher. And that's why people have that curriculum is so well established. Well, that curriculum was very carefully decided. Okay. And that's the biggest point that needs to be understood here is that if you have a system of a society where people are doing all the various jobs that we're doing and we're living this various life, we have to have a perspective that goes from, well, what are we? What is consciousness? What is our significance here? And that plays into the entire scheme of how we view reality. And it plays into our understanding, well, okay, if we're just superior to all the animal kingdom and we've gotten here just by being like super smart and some people think like, eating a bunch of magic mushrooms and all of a sudden like some apes thought up of new things. No, that's not what this is at all. There's a whole nother dynamic that we're going to get into. And I don't want to start with that because I think when we get to number 8, on the top 10, we get to number 8 is really when we're going to get into that conversation. Because what the problem is, if you throw too much information at someone in an unorganized fashion, they're going to reject the message. And so what we need to do is we got to layer this on top of each other with evidence-driven content to understand, well, what is this great story? Are things much different than we're told? And the more that other individuals, if they're open-minded and they're able to just allow an idea to fester and see if there's any merit in it, and then and obviously go research for yourself. Anything I say, I highly hope that anyone goes and looks up themselves, because it doesn't matter who it is, me or anyone else. You don't just take anything for face value. You go and you look yourself. But we got to understand that you got to be very careful to look, and I know I'm going off on these like tangents, but we have to create a foundation first before I start talking about this.
Can I interrupt 1 second real quickly? So this conversation that we're about to go into is especially relevant for you. And I say this not because you don't have the entertainment of the same ideas that I do. Lisa grew up for roughly 30 years in a Mormon church, which the ideologies around that are very strict on the beliefs of creationism and Darwinism.
And when you're saying 6,000 years, I'm like, yeah, that's what we were told.
So
the earth was created, blah, blah, blah.
So it's it's fantastic that you're starting off with this baseline, because most people, Lisa's not the minority in that belief, right? Like, we live in this Western society that is based on this conditional ideology of one God, one religion. But so I love where you're starting this off. So sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no, awesome. That's good to expand on that. And yeah, what really we're talking about here, and you dabble down. It's known as the rabbit hole, and it's a term that's used way too much, but it's really the best way to look at it, because the more you look into these little pieces, these nuggets, the deeper you get down in. Before you know it, you're so far down it that the old paradigm of reality has now shattered all around you. Now, I want people to not be afraid of that. Why are people so afraid
Can you
to
pause it, Miss
entertain a new idea?
Lily?
If anything, you're going to feel a lot better when you're listening to.
Okay, thank you. Because he was getting ready going to a whole nother something. Okay, so what I just got from that small piece is he's trying to figure out, and I'm assuming from reading things, uh, understanding things, exactly where the humans come from. Whether or not we came from animals, or like who basically, where did we come from? Where did we derive from? Is that what you guys was getting from that part?
So, oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So
So
what
did
I
he
was
make it? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm on mute.
well, to answer your question, what I was getting from it is that there is a he wanted there to be more to us as to our existence than to have just been people that came from apes, or that we evolved over time. He basically wants to give us a greater purpose, is what he's trying to dig into. And that's one thing that he's trying to lay a foundation of these ancient civilizations. What is our purpose? Where do we come from? And all that kind of stuff, more so than did we just kind of appear on the earth. That's what I kind of got from it.
Okay, yeah, and that's exactly what it sounds like to me. He's doing a little bit rambling a little bit, and I'm trying to stick to what he's saying, but he's like moving to different parts. Because if that is the case, the Bible, because I guess this is where the spiritual part comes in play. The Bible said that we were created in God's image after the seventh, on the what, fourth of the day, man was created, and then of course female was created, but that took place at the beginning of time, which is what the Bible said from the jump.
Well, I for one don't believe we came from apes. So, I don't believe in that.
I don't believe that either. I don't think that we came from an animal. Um I think that we again, it is a higher being. Where I'm at with all the stuff that I've heard, I'm just like open to hearing other stuff. Because at first I was more adamant, like, oh, it's something that you can tell me as to where we came from. I do believe that there's a God. I do believe that there's a spiritual thing going on. But that is a good question, because it hasn't really been satisfiedly answered to me. Where the hell did we come from? We didn't come from no animals. I was never an ape. Y'all was never apes. We were never apes.
Because,
And I
like,
can
why
say
are
that.
there still apes? Are those the slow apes?
No, so have you ever seen, like, it's a chart that they have, and I think it's like the evolution of
I
human
Yeah,
civilization.
I've
You
seen
seen
it.
that chart before?
Of
Like, it's
course.
okay. So like, I think what he's saying is, well, what he's trying to say, because again, he's moving like from one thing to another and then back to one thing. I'm trying to keep up with them.
Well, can I say why I think he's doing that? At least
Yes,
this part.
please. Yes.
So basically, he's trying to lay down a foundation for when he starts to bridge out of these different thought processes, because a lot of people will get defensive, or they won't really hear the different arguments or points that he's trying to make, because they'll think about what their foundation is. Like, obviously some people went to more church, some people didn't go to the church, so they'll automatically be like, oh no, that's not what I learned, that's not what I learned. He doesn't really want you to do that. He more so wants you to listen to the points, and then to learn, and then add your input, or to respond to it, versus making a defensive conversation. Like, it's not more so an argument, it's more of like listening and learning and seeing different things out there. So I think that's why he's jumping right now, because he just wants to jump into all the like main topics, and then he's going to slowly bridge into topic 1, topic 2. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like an
got it.
overview.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think that's specified for me. I got it.
I'm trying. Lorita, I hope I'm saying your name right. I also don't believe in the Adam and Eve story presented in the Old Testament. I think there's more to the story. I think there's more to several stories. I think we got the parts we needed to get. Like, I don't need to know what Adam shaved with. Did
Girl,
he shave with a
y'all gonna
razor?
make me pull up the Book of Enoch on y'all now.
I'm just saying. I
Don't
think
make me
that,
pull it
of course, we didn't
up.
get the whole story.
Well,
When I'm
Enoch
telling a
told
random
the whole
story, I in no
story.
way compare myself to God. But when I'm telling a random story about my life, I might not tell you what I'm wearing or what I ate that day because it don't pertain. It's not. It don't move the story along. So of course there's more to the story.
Yeah, Enoch tells you more to the story, okay?
Hmm.
Enoch tells you more. Gives you a whole picture of everything. Just saying. But go ahead, newbie.
Okay, y'all ready for me to hit play?
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Into what I'm about to tell you about who we really are, because it's going to completely go against the mundane version that we're told. Even certain aspects of religion and Darwinism combine to create this very false narrative on who we are and how far back our story goes and how amazing we are. We are, and that's one of the highlights and the emphasis of this whole show. And that's the reason why the entire Education Institute, which is basically a conditioned mind control, has been created because people, if they knew the truth of what we are and how significant we are to the entire cosmos, they wouldn't want to do mundane jobs. These jobs where they're going and they're working all their time and then they're coming back and having these little snippets of free time, and then they realize like their whole life has been wasted. And I know that the pandemic has caused people having a lot of free time to start questioning that. And I know that's happened a lot of places around the world where people have all this free time. All of a sudden they're like, what have I been doing? And they start reevaluating their life, what happiness is and what we could be doing here instead. So I know that goes off on all these different directions, but so let's lay down some foundations. Okay. The foundations to lay down is we're told in school that human civilizations emerged 6,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent of Sumer. Now that's the area of Iraq, Iran, Syria, that whole area, which has like been in conflict for years and years and years, right? And
Okay, stop
subsequently, you
that
can't
right
go in
there.
there and excavate anything on an archaeological dig, which is
People really believe that we've been on Earth for 6,000 years?
I think he meant six. I don't think he meant 6,000 years. Can
No,
you
he did
take
mean
it back?
6,000 years.
I
That's
don't think
what
he
the
meant.
education system has been teaching, the base education
But
system. He's not
but see,
talking about
this
what
is
he
why I
believes.
asked.
He's talking about what the foundation is that we're taught in the educational system.
So okay, so let me ask a question, right? And this is from my point of trying to understand the educational part of that, right? Because if they can date back fossil fuels that's millions and billions of years ago, how come them dating back only shows them dating back 6,000 years when they know for a fact it's been longer than 6,000 years?
We know that's what we're saying. That's why he's trying to break it down. Because now at first I didn't understand where he was coming from, but that's what he's trying to say. The books are trying to say that, but that's not
Yeah, that's the
actually
point. That's
true.
what I'm questioning when it comes to the books, when it
Right,
comes to the science of it.
right. And that's what
Right. And
he's
that's what
doing.
he's going to get in. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He's on your side on that. He's saying
Yeah.
this is what we're told, but that's not what the world or what, the different
Right.
science
That's
and
not what we correct. That's not what we
exactly.
Correct.
can
Yep.
actually see. So we gotta.
Try Nina. Nina. Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah. No,
Nina.
Nina's right.
which is very interesting that we may get into that to talk about as well, because that really, even though that timeline of 6,000 years is very inaccurate, it did begin there, but it began there much earlier than that. And the idea we're going to get across here that I want people to understand is, instead of a linear timeline, okay, instead of thinking, okay, we have primitive hunter-gatherers that are traveling around the world and they're all independent, and then all of a sudden, boom, civilization comes up 6,000 years ago, and then there's one linear civilization that then builds off of each other, and here we are, the most sophisticated. Tear that whole thing down, throw it away, and just imagine for a minute what I'm about to tell you. Try to have an open mind and understand that Instead of one linear timeline of a rise of civilization to where we are now, think about it more like civilizations have risen up from various influences that we'll talk about, and then fallen, and then risen, and then fallen at least 3, 4, maybe 5 times. And that is an incredibly important point to get across. Go ahead.
So I just want to recap what I just heard you say. So what you just said is that civilizations, humanity as we know it, and we live in this little bubble of, we're told 6,000 years or whatever. You're saying that the species of humans have existed before, or some version of hominids have existed before in a completely different silo and time period that was wiped out 3 or 4 times and started anew roughly.
Yeah, but not primitive though. That's the main point of this. Yes, hunter-gatherers did exist. I'm not saying that didn't, but something happened. There was a moment in time when certain knowledge and information was put into those civilizations, and then you saw rapid rises that came out of nowhere. And then certain cyclical disasters have occurred on the earth. And we'll get into that in later number down the line here, that have been so severe that has literally destroyed those civilizations, caused them to all their knowledge to be almost wiped out, and then another civilization has had to build off of the remnants of that and then try to rise again. Now, every time that those falls have happened, it's the opposite of what we think. It's not that we've gained more, it's that we've lost more every time. Now, I'm not saying other civilizations were on the technological level with fast computers and cell phones and cars like we are now. We're talking about sophistication and knowledge on a completely different level, okay? And that was a perfect example. Why don't you go ahead and bring that up? Okay, this leads exactly into what we're talking about. What you're seeing on the screen, this is in South America. This is Machu Picchu, right? A famous place that most people have seen. These mountain temples, way up above 9,000 feet on top of the Andes Mountains, okay? Now, we're told in school, again, this linear model, that the Inca created Machu Picchu, all right? And then the Inca slowly were wiped out when they were conquered by the Spanish, when they systematically conquered the Americas, right? When Pizarro came ashore with his armies, went inland, and then caused the demise of the Inca. Completely wrong. What we're looking at right now, and notice on the screen the different building styles. That's what I want to present to you. That's why as we talk about this, the civilizations that we're going to be talking about are called either the lost civilizations, the master civilizations, or the megalithic civilizations. And megalithic means very, very large stones, okay? Now, I want to just really quickly add something to this. Imagine what would happen right now if our civilization got hit by a catastrophe, like a coronal mass ejection from the sun that blasted our planet and caused massive tectonic shifts, and basically it wiped out our entire civilization, right? With tsunamis and just boom, volcanoes, and we were all wiped out, everyone, except small groups of people in these isolated pockets around the world. What would survive our civilization? I want everyone to think about that for a minute. We live in a civilization with these pretty, somewhat poorly constructed buildings that are, some are stone, but a lot of them are metal, and metal corrodes extremely fast over time. It doesn't even last more than a couple hundred years if left alone. And then you have what I would call us like the great plastic civilization, right? So if 1,000 years went by, 2,000 years went by, and we were gone, and these small groups finally got together, right? And then the civilization was able to slowly rise up again, what would be left from us? What would they find from us? Well, I can tell you that we wouldn't have much, because all of the technology and the paper, everything that we're kept knowledge is almost entirely digital, right? We have books, but we don't have other means to have a message be recorded and kept for a long period of time. If you write something down on paper and then you file it away somewhere, that is going to be gone in 500 to 1,000 years, gone. It's never going to exist again. If you paint something on a wall, on a cave wall, yeah, it might stick around for several hundred years, maybe 1,000 years, but water dripping down and other things in that cave are going to probably wash that away. So then how do you leave a message behind? How do you leave a message that can actually survive enormous amounts of time? And when we're talking about enormous, try to now wrap your head around, imagine a civilization that was a global, sophisticated civilization that connected all around the world that existed more than 13,000 years ago. And that civilization was wiped out. Now, what would survive that civilization? Go ahead and pull up that image again.
So I do have one observation to make, and it's interesting because I had this similar conversation before you answer this. I had this similar conversation with someone recently before you answer this, and we were having a conversation about cave drawings, and he said if these civilizations were so advanced, why would they not be able to create better drawings? And so my answer is I believe what you're about to say. So carry on.
The answer to that is that those civilizations that did cave paintings were primitive, and they're not part of this group we're talking about. You're talking about nomadic hunter-gatherer Neanderthal Denisovians that were, hundreds of thousands of years ago. And then other groups that were more primitive along the way, because understand, like even today in our sophisticated technological world, there are still groups in remote parts of the Amazon and in islands in the Pacific that don't have anything. They live in complete isolation in harmony with nature. We still coexist with that, and they did as well. So there were other groups that were primitive that were writing on cave walls and such, but that doesn't mean that's the only story. Okay, that's why we're going to get into this. Now, look at what you're seeing on the screen right here. Here we have in Machu Picchu these massive granite blocks, okay, on the bottommost level. And then you have this very, very primitive cobble and mortar built on top. Now, that primitive stuff on top is younger, right? And then the stuff on the bottom is much more sophisticated and older. Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Because if civilizations were primitive and then they became more sophisticated, then why would the most sophisticated be on the bottom? Think about that. Mm-hmm. That's that spark that goes off. And you're like, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. So it's backwards then. It's completely backwards. And that's where we're getting around to understanding of this, is that all around the world, we have these megalithic ancient civilizations that created these massive.
Yes, thank you. I was going to ask you to pause. Woo.
Yeah, that's a good stopping point.
Okay, so Lord have mercy. Okay, go ahead. One of y'all go first because I got a lot to say.
Well, Pizarro said to stop it, so I thought she had a point, but if she don't, then you can go ahead and start.
Go ahead, Brookie. I got too much going on in my background right now.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this brings up a good point, y'all. And I say that because just the other day, and I need y'all to stick with me, I was watching a movie called The Knowing. And in The Knowing, if you watch that movie, it's these type of angels had came down. They were giving people warnings of when this particular world was going to end, and it just so happened to end with what this guy said that one of the worlds could have ended, which was like a solar burst or whatever. But then that would make sense because the messages were here, but the messages that he got them from was people were giving them, but they were put in numbers. So they were literally like, the girl was scratching them in the walls and she was leaving them there, or she was writing them down to try to give it to somebody so that they can figure it out, which was numbers. If that were to be the case, then that could make sense, because if that particular world would have survived, maybe like a cave underground, we have a lot of underground caves, it would make a lot of sense. Here's the kicker. Let's say something like that happened to us today. Our whole generation would be gone. It would be wiped out. And it's no way, unless a person who may have went off on the outskirts and in the caves, if they remember a lot of the stuff that would come about, then they could probably, carve it in. But because we have literally went digital and everything is either, and it, like literally they're getting rid of books. A book cannot phantom and make it through a sun blast like a solar flare. That's not going to happen. Neither will a digital drive. So if people underground were to make it, and then after 10 or 15 years they will come up, they would have to rebuild, which they would eventually, but it would not be the same. This whole generation will be gone.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what that's like the main thing he was hitting at. Like and it's crazy when you think about how we say, oh, we came from, or we're the most advanced, but then when you go back to something like this structure, you see the more advanced stuff is at the bottom, and then the newer stuff is the least advanced.
And
so
that
it just
part
shows like
I read it backwards though, Trip. I thought it was the other way around. Like see at the bottom, I'm thinking that's where, you know, the people who was in the prior civilization may have did that, but that's not the case. You're looking at the top is from the prior civilization, correct?
No. The bottom, the big heavy stones, that's from the old. That's older than what's on top of it.
Because I could have sworn he said it was backwards, because then that would make sense. But I thought he said that the oldest is at the top.
No, the newer stuff is at the top. So the big old stones is what people did before the hunter and gatherers and well, actually they're not a part of the conversation. But the people that were building these brick type of things, they were building on top of these big massive stones. Just like think about the pyramids. We till this day cannot make the pyramids. Like we still cannot create those. And that's much older than us now. You know what I mean? Does that make sense now?
Yeah, it makes sense. And we were speaking about the pyramids beforehand, and this is where like the aliens and stuff come from, where I bring in the parts about aliens. And to be honest, I'm leaning towards that. It's a good possibility, y'all, that we could be aliens, y'all. We could be aliens, and we are just in a different world outside of this particular civilization. Because that would be the only thing that makes sense at this point, if you want to go by any of these theories, especially this.
Sorry, can you say that last part one more time? And wait, before you actually say that, Pizza, can you show us on the screen? And are you going to participate in the conversation? Go ahead, Brooke. Can you say that last little sentence one more time?
I said that we are aliens. I'm beginning to start to believe that we are some kind of alien form, like an alien form.
Oh, that's a whole new thread. I don't know if you ready to dig into that.
Hey, now,
I'm just saying though. Think about it. Y'all, we are. I'm telling you, aliens have a lot to do with everything that we're going through right now.
The funny thing is, Brooke, later on in this, because I watched this like probably a year ago or so, I believe he even gets into that theory, which I think is funny. So I would just save that thread, but I really want Pizza.
I didn't even know that. I never saw
I really want Pizza to like respond about the Brooks thing, because she said to stop it. So I thought she had a really profound thought too. So I just don't want to get into a new thread too fast.
I wanted to stop it so y'all could say something, but I couldn't say anything because, yeah, the sound bites came. So I had to hurry up, get it out of our face. But I was listening to it, but I didn't. I just wanted y'all to stop it and say something when it came to that part, because I didn't want to keep like playing the whole thing through and nobody says anything and we're just playing the whole video. So I wanted to stop it for commentary.
So you didn't have nothing to add?
Well, no, for me so far, I kind of agree with some of the stuff he's saying. So
did you want to jump into that alien theory, or you want to wait still, Brooke?
I mean, no, we can wait till he get there. I can wait till we get to that part.
when he get to the alien part, because
I don't know. Like I said, it was a year ago, and I don't think from my memory, I don't think he says like, "Oh, we're aliens in the thing of like where we were in spaceships and stuff like that." I think he just says something like, "Oh my god, how did he say it?" Like there were people here that originated that are from Earth, and we were not the original people from Earth. We came later on. Something like that. I'd have to try to skim it and find it, but yeah. You can go ahead and keep it going though. You know you can keep us on the screen, like the four of us on the corner, so people don't come to the channel and be thinking they somewhere else. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, you can play it.
No, I'm saying keep the four of us small, and then the video like you had it originally. You originally had us four in the corner, remember? And then the video was in the middle. Yeah, like that. There you go.
Massive megalithic block temples and pyramids all around the world that are so sophisticated in understanding the alignments to the stars and energy centers of our Earth that we still don't even understand how they did it or some of the reasons why they did it. But those megalithic blocks and the ancient texts that we're about to get into, known as cuneiform texts out of the Fertile Crescent region, is basically all that survived. All that survived these civilizations are those two things.
So aside from the technology that you're about to talk about, my first observation when I first saw the pyramids of Egypt or any of these stones in all over the world is the fact that they have 90-degree right angles, the fact that they're massive, massive stones that are tonnage in weight, and the fact that the stratification of them where they sit in these archaeological digs, not only are they beneath some of these more primitive stones that you're just calling out, but they also go depth down architecturally. Like they're not just what you see visually. There's architecture dug into the ground, correct? But these stones, sorry, I hit the screen too fast. But the thing that blows me away is that these stones weigh tons and tons and tons.
Exactly.
And if anybody was primitive, how would they have been able to have the technology to put those in place in the first place?
Thank you. That's a great point. That was exactly what I was about to get into.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. But I asked, so let me just tell you one piece. Yeah. I asked my dad about this, and my dad was a staunch Christian, really conservative, and made us read the Bible every night and interpret it. And I used to I'm like you, I used to question everything. And I asked my dad this question one time. I'm like 10 years old. And I said, if primitive people built these pyramids, how these stones weigh tons and tons and tons. And if they were just ancient Egyptians who built those, the technology at that time was barely the wheel. How did they get all those stones in place? And my dad was like, "Oh, yeah, there's not questions that we ask. It's just God, faith of God." And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So, all right, carry on. Sorry.
No, that's a great point. And that's what we're getting into is I want you to wrap your head around, well, what does it mean to be sophisticated? Okay. Look at our society today. People walking around on their phones. In most cases, they're playing some like Angry Birds game rather than using the phone to learn every piece of wisdom they can. But I want to strongly emphasize in that idea of knowledge, you cannot look in the mainstream. This is a tightly organized, tightly controlled thing. And this is where you start getting down the rabbit hole in conspiracies. Some people might roll their eyes, but imagine you're an archaeologist. You've spent years going to school. You like, I want to dig up, I want to go to ancient sites and I want to uncover these places. You spend an enormous amount of money. You spend years in classes, and then you get part of this archaeological institution. If you don't follow the rules, just like a teacher in school, if you don't follow this mainstream viewpoint on how all of this aligns, you will be laughed out of your job. You'll lose your credentials, and all your life's work will essentially be over. That's why so many people in my field, we're not licensed archaeologists, because how could we be? We would be hampered by this 6,000-year timeline. Like, so look at these stones right here. I can tell you that those stones and many others we're going to find around the world are proven to be over 13,000 years old when they were created. Okay. That means that our timeline of civilization is at least double, if not far more than double the age of what we know. Now, you brought up a great point, Devo. These stones, we're talking about multi-ton stones. In some cases, these stone blocks are so enormous, these aren't even nearly the biggest ones. You go to places like Baalbek, Lebanon, that we're going to show after, or the Yangshan Quarry in China, or the Imperial Wall in Japan, or all throughout Peru in the temple, in the Valley of the Temple, and all the way through Machu Picchu and South America and Bolivia and so many other places around the world. We're talking about some blocks that are 1,000, 1,500, over 10,000 tons. Okay. We can't even move those today with modern machinery. And I want people to wrap their heads around that. We can't. If they take a crane, okay, the largest cranes we have, they can't move anything over like a couple hundred tons. We're talking about blocks that are so big that we can't even move them today. Not only that, but here's the wild thing that is the evidence spark that is going to make people, okay, wait a minute, that makes sense. If civilizations are 6,000 years old, then the cultures that lived during this time had what are known as Bronze Age tools. That means that they had tools that are part of a certain hardness scale, okay? Like the copper and bronze tools, obviously. And so the idea behind that is if you have granite, right here, look at that, those granite blocks, go look up what's known as the Mohs hardness scale. Granite is one of the hardest stones in the world. And there's a reason they chose it, because it has a high quartz content and it's extremely difficult to erode. So it'll last like forever. Okay. There's a lot of reasons they chose that. But also, if you have Bronze Age tools and you try to carve something that is harder than the tools you're working with, you're not going to get anywhere. You can't even manipulate those stones, which means that they had technology and sophistication that we don't even understand. And none of those tools and none of those things are left anymore. They're all gone. So you have these mysterious sites around the world where there's just these giant, perfectly carved, like some of them, like in Tiwanaku in Bolivia, are so sharp on their angles, carved out of a thing called andesite, that you can cut your finger on it and it's over 13,000 years old. That's how incredible they were able to cut some of these stones and build these places that are just in ruins all around the world. And so I just want to add to this. Look at this picture just one more time. What this means is that civilization that created that lower foundation, that incredible sophisticated master civilization, they were wiped out in a catastrophe, gone. And then the actual Inca we think of came out of the Amazon jungle, right? They found these giant remnant blocks all around the world, or around the region, and they tried to recreate it, and they couldn't. But they knew that these sites were sacred and important, but they just could not recreate their technology and knowledge. And that's the emphasis I want people to understand.
So another thing
Okay,
that, and if you're going to
right
touch on this, just let me know, and I won't go down this too far. But in some of the pyramids,
now he going into the technology.
Whew.
He going all into the technology. So we gonna stop this video, right? We gonna go into Enoch real quick. Cause see, when they go to explaining this or even talking about this, when they explain these stones, or they explains the pyramids and stuff like that, or these empires that is built, like the one empire that's in Mexico that could withstand not a hurricane, but a earthquake, and it don't move the bottom of it because there's like two stones built under the empire that holds the empire up. And they have done study. I don't know how long this was, but they supposed to be did their own studies of when they want to watch for a hurricane. I mean, I keep saying fucking hurricane, for a damn earthquake to come and hit Mexico, to see if it does anything to the empire that's down in Mexico. What was that the empire called, child? Anyways, when a earthquake hit, it didn't move the empire basically. But let me go find that with the Book of Enoch real quick.
So can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So that only goes to kind of prove a little bit of the stuff that I be saying to be true. Because if this man just said that those boulders, those rocks weigh more, and as of right now, that there's nothing that can move that. Guess what? An alien can move it. A giant can move that. Them giants, that's who was moving that.
Wait, can I add one thing to that, Brooke?
Yep.
Now, the definition of alien essentially is like they came from somewhere else, but why couldn't those people that made these blocks originate from here?
Right.
They could be, because I don't really I used to look at aliens as something that I couldn't identify with, or like a ET, but it's really not. I think the aliens, just the word alien, I don't think it means like an alien, like an ET alien.
Do you mean they're just not a human being? Are you trying to say that
No,
though?
I
Or you
think
think
that
that they are human beings?
yes, I think they are half. I think they're hybrid. I think they got half human and half alien because of how things are looking at. Because if you had a civilization, right, and the civilization are building these pyramids, right, and then they need help to get this stuff put up. Like for instance, the pyramid, these big boulders, then it will make sense. Here comes the giants, who are the aliens, right, and they are helping these villages put up these, these statues and stuff.
So where are these aliens from?
They are from a different necessarily like a different world. That like they're from here, not from here. They're from like a different world. They come from outer space, but they live here now.
Okay.
Real quick, I'm blessed one. I might have missed what you're trying to say, but basically those boulders, they were able to withstand whatever wiped out that civilization, because that's the remnants, right? So you're trying to say that their tools and their technologies and everything would have been left. Is that what you're trying to say, blessed? Because I believe whatever he goes down and explain what he thinks wiped it out, would probably wipe out a lot of those main technology and just leave some of those ancient structures that are these. What are these? What did he say? Like 300 tons or whatever he said. Those things just probably weren't able to be, destroyed completely. And some of the stuff too, it's like underground, like I think there's even some pyramids that are full of grass, or like not full of grass, that are completely covered with grass, and you didn't even realize it was a pyramid, etc. So,
Right.
but yeah. Did you have anything to add, Newbie? I know you doing some cooking and stuff.
I'm just listening and getting everybody else's perspective. I'm kind of weird when it comes to spirituality and science, because for me, I believe that everything falls under the God umbrella. And I call him by a different name, but for the sake of this conversation, so everybody can understand who I'm talking about, I'm going to call him God. I feel that everything falls from the Magi to science to evolution to astrology and all of the things. When I say that I listen to the universe, I'm still saying that I'm listening to God, because it's his universe. I was just having a conversation with my daughter about astrology. We were talking about zodiac signs. And is that astronomy? Y'all know what I'm talking about. We were talking about zodiac signs. And she said, well, I don't really get off into that. And I don't, to the degree of some people, because I have some relatives who will not get out of their bed in the morning before they read their horoscope, and that guides them on what they're going to do for the day. I don't get all off into it like that, but you have to realize that, like, I'm a Cancer. Other Cancers and myself have similar personality traits. And I figure, and this is just me, I wouldn't preach it across a pulpit. It's just my thinking. Like with my 11 children, I have my boys, I have my girls, and then I have my big kids. That's the older set. And then there was a 2-year gap. And then I have the last 4. I got the big kids and the little kids. So maybe Cancer, Sagittarius, and Capricorn is just a way for God to compartmentalize his children, like I've compartmentalized mine into the big kids and the little kids. They 2 entirely different sets, and it's a big difference in between those 2 sets. So you get what I'm saying? Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Brooke. I think you're about to say, somebody came off mute, I thought. If not, well, yeah, I absolutely understand what you're saying. And if anything, I think that there is some science even behind astrology. I was listening to a video a while back. Don't quote me on it, but they were saying something like when you're born, under certain days and stuff like that, the way that the planets are formed and how they're, based in a constellation or whatever, the energy is different. The pull and what's emitted and all that kind of stuff is a different energy. And some people believe in, like you say, you talk to the universe or you talk to God or however you're saying it. Some just say like that's the cosmos, that's the energy, that's everything. Just like how our brain emits waves, those waves are altered, and when you're born in certain constellations, is what some say. Does that make sense?
It does. I was actually looking for this video of this guy saying, "Are you God?" And then he goes into the cosmos. He goes into a bunch of scientific. It's like a perfect medium of science and spirituality. I cannot find that video. I hope I can figure out. It's saved in my phone somewhere. I'm looking for it because it kind of fits into the conversation that we're having. But basically, my big point is that for me, it all falls under the God umbrella because it all belongs to him. Now, how you choose to use it is where the difference between the dichotomy of good and evil, if you will, is intent. It's intent. What are you doing with those cards? What are you doing with the movement of the zodiac signs? What are you doing even with the Bible and the oil and that torture damn device that everybody wear around their neck and pin all over their walls? I don't like crosses, but intent. I'm done. I'm gonna shut up.
No, you're good. I'm enjoying it. I just didn't want to be the only one responding. I was waiting to see if Brooke or Pizarro would come off mute. I thought we were also buying time for Pizarro to find whatever video she was trying to find.
I found it. Okay, I found it at the Turkish dot too. Okay, now I have to share it on my community wall because
You could just put it in a private chat like you did, or like I did, right?
hold on, let me see.
Yeah, please do, because child, me trying to figure out what video to go to on this computer, y'all been done had some behind the scenes newbie wow chicka wow wow. We ain't trying to see that today.
And can you see what timestamp we're at in that other video? Because sometimes it'll reset it. I just want to see.
Oh damn! I just took it down.
Yeah, I definitely got the timestamp.
I mean, I can just rewind the video, newbie. It's not that big of a deal. Like her live, I can just rewind her live.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna go to 7:05.
Wait, let me mute.
I'm gonna still be here. I'm gonna listen from my phone real quick. I just gotta grab something.
Cain dissembled and said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And the Lord said unto him, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground where thou hast slain him. For thou hast slain thy brother, and hast dissembled before me, and didst imagine in thy heart that I saw thee not, nor knew all thy actions. But thou didst this thing, and didst slay thy brother for naught.
Newbie, go to 7:02.
And now, therefore, cursed be thou from the ground of the earth. And the blood of Abel streamed upon the earth before the flock. Cain dissembled and said, I do not know instrument, with which he suddenly smote his brother, and he slew him. And Cain spilt the blood of his brother Abel upon the earth, and the blood of Abel streamed upon the earth before the flock. And after this, Cain repented having slain his brother, and he was sadly grieved, and he wept over him, and it vexed him exceedingly. And Cain rose up and dug a hole in the field, wherein he put his brother's body, and he turned the dust over it. And the Lord knew what Cain had done to his brother. And the Lord appeared to Cain, and said unto him, Where is Abel thy brother that was with thee? And Cain dissembled and said, I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper? And the Lord said unto him, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground where thou hast slain him. For thou hast slain thy brother, and hast dissembled before me, and didst imagine in thy heart that I saw thee not, nor knew all thy actions. But thou didst this thing, and didst slay thy brother for naught, and because he spoke rightly to thee. And now, therefore, cursed be thou from the ground which opened its mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand, and wherein thou didst bury him. And it shall be, when thou shalt till it, it shall no more give thee its strength as in the beginning, for thorns and thistles shall the ground produce, and thou shalt be moving and wandering in the earth until the day of thy death. And at that time Cain went out from the presence of the Lord, from the place where he was, and he went moving and wandering in the land toward the east of Eden, he and all belonging to him. And Cain knew his wife in those days, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name Enoch, saying, in that time the Lord began to give him rest and quiet in the earth. And at that time Cain also began to build a city. And he built the city, and he called the name of the city Enoch, according to the name of his son. For in those days the Lord had given him rest upon the earth, and he did not move about and wander as in the beginning. And Irad was born to Enoch, and Irad begat Mehujael, and Mehujael begat Methusael. Jasher chapter 2. And it was in the 130th year of the life of Adam upon the earth that he again knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare a son in his likeness and in his image. And she called his name Seth, saying, because God has appointed me another seed in the place of Abel, for Cain has slain him. And Seth lived 105 years, and he begat a son. And Seth called the name of his son Enosh, saying, because in that time the sons of men began to multiply and to afflict their souls and hearts by transgressing and rebelling against God. And it was in the days of Enosh that the sons of men continued to rebel and transgress against God, to increase the anger of the Lord against the sons of men.
Newbie, stop
And
it.
the sons of men went and they served other gods.
Brooke, is you back? Real. Okay, so
Yeah, I'm back. I ain't mean to put them last little few icons in there. My bad.
girl. Now, Trip got a question. You want to ask the question to the people?
I was just trying to figure out why you were showing this, because I thought you were trying to provide a point. So I was just trying to ask context. That's all. I didn't know if everybody in the chat knew the context but me. But I was just trying to figure that out.
Because with Enoch is where he takes you down that rabbit hole explaining these things, how these structures was built, how we knew about knowledge that was given to us, and we wasn't supposed to know. But this part is where Enoch explains the beginning of how Adam and Eve with Cain and all of these things. Enoch explaining how all of it is coming about. But in the beginning of the book, which I wasn't trying to, take us all the way in the beginning, Enoch already says that the information that he's giving is not for of his generation or really of the generation before him. It's for the generation that's been to come. And to me, that means our generation. But this part, he goes deep into it. He literally explains it. And then it will get to the part of how the structures was built. He also, if this takes us in deeply into it, because this one don't look like it's giving us like the full context of Enoch. It looked like it just took certain bits and pieces of Enoch and just put it in the video because they made it as a part 1.
Well, let me recap.
But this is about the Watchers.
Okay, let me recap then so I can make sure we're on the same page. So originally we were watching that video And we got to the point where he was showing the structures, and he was showing that the structures before us were more advanced. Then Brooke got into the topic of, well, maybe the people before us were aliens, and those structures are like, I don't know, let's just say like 15,000 years old. Like it's way before the 6,000 year old period that we have, currently in like the education institutions, right? So now you're saying that you're going to provide a source that explains how those structures were created based on the
That
Book of
is
Enoch.
correct.
Okay.
That is
And that
correct
this Book
because
of Enoch is actually older than what the structures are.
the structures is, let's say, I wouldn't say the book is older, but the book is very old. This book was not put into the Bible for a reason. It's a lot of them that wasn't put into the Bible, but it's only one Bible that has not been touched. But we all know about it, and it's actually the book that's in the Hebrew Bible that's in Africa. This book, to me, with him, he saw all of this. Whether the structures, I believe the structures were built before his time, keep in mind, because Cain built cities. How Cain was able to build cities? Where would Cain get the knowledge from to build those cities? So for me, it's not more so that the structures is older than the book. It's more so of him already being told about these things. The things that were in the past, in the present, and that's in the future. He told past, present, and future. Is what I'm saying. He
And who
even
told him this stuff?
what we're living in. Huh?
Who told him the past stuff?
Oh, you finna get it. We finna get into that.
The Watchers.
No, the watchers did it, the angels. God chose Enoch. See, this is why I should have went in the beginning for you so that you could get a full view in the beginning because he explains this. But Enoch was the chosen one because during Enoch time, also there were nothing but sin going on. And there wasn't really no human on earth in Enoch time that was righteousness only but Enoch, which is why he was chosen,
Well,
which
hold
is
on.
why God hid his body as well. And they
Well, we just going into a lot of different pieces, so I'm just trying to keep us on the main path, because then we're gonna get confused and lost. Right now, we're trying to
can't get
provide.
confused. They telling the same shit, different way.
Okay, but we're still
The
focused on the
lost
structures, correct?
civilization.
Okay.
Yeah, the lost
Okay, so we do on the structures.
civilization.
Okay.
They got into the Bible too, but the lost civilization that they're talking about is the Watchers. And the Watchers were the ones that came to earth and made it with women, and they created children. Children that was abnormal. When Brooke mentioned the giants, or when y'all mentioned the aliens, where you think these children came from?
Oh, he actually gets into that in that video, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does, but I think I'll take
But he doesn't
Enoch
say. I don't know if he
account.
calls them Watchers though. But go ahead.
They don't
So,
call them Watchers.
does anybody here believe that there was a world, if you will, or civilization before Adam and Eve?
Yes, it was. Those were the
I do.
Watchers.
Because he clearly told them to be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth.
Well,
Yeah, but
the Bible lays down the generations in Genesis. He goes of
yeah,
who
and
had
that's
what
the thing.
off of
They
each.
keep asking that same question, but yes, he goes into that. It wasn't just Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve was the base point because Adam and Eve was in the Garden of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
Africa was
Mm-hmm.
the main thing that God made sure he centered himself around. But he also could see all the rest of the parts. That's why he said he spreaded us out. That's why it says in the Bible that he also, when he spreaded us out to all these different continents, he also made sure we did not speak each other languages.
Wait a minute,
So
hold
that
on, Bazaar. That didn't happen. That didn't happen from. Okay, so that happened, but
but
it
that
didn't
happened
happen
all in the
from that.
Bible though. That
No, I'm
happened
going
all
to
in the
tell
Bible
you,
is what I'm
it
saying.
did, but that you're right, and but it that didn't happen because of them trying to grow civilizations. That happened because they weren't listening and they were out here doing criminal acts and all that stuff. So that's why God separated them. That was the first kind of punishment that God had gave. why was to separate. So he put the people in China and he changed the language. He put the people in Europe or
That's
whatever. That's what
correct.
he
But
did
they
that.
still end up learning each other language due to who?
Eventually, yes. But what happened
Due to
was, if you
who?
go back and look at it, if you go back and read the Bible, it tells you that it's Adam and Eve, and then Adam and Eve had their children, and then their children had other children with other children. Like it gives you the
Because
breakdown of the family timeline.
they think that Adam and Eve kids had sex with each other.
They
Girl.
had to. They did. They had to. How else they was gonna be here?
Well,
They
he
think
Well,
that
explains
we
that
Brooke,
too,
I
all.
actually.
mean, you have to look at it. I don't know. I am not trying to
My
change
And
thing,
to
nobody's
be
mind.
honest, I think
look,
that
well, that's
one of
my
her
thing.
sons had.
See, if he spreaded us all already out,
No,
and
that was after that, Bazaar.
in the
He spread
beginning,
us out
Cain went and
afterwards.
built his own city, though. Why would he go and build his own city?
Because that's what I'm saying. Here's what I believe. I believe that there was a Adam and Eve, and that she had her two sons. Well, there was nothing else here to have babies by, right? I believe that she conceived with one of her sons, and that's how it came about, where the
No,
family
no.
start to
Eve
bridge
had
off. Because who
four
else she?
kids.
So then who he doing to
Eve
a
Brooke,
had
kid?
Brooke,
no.
you
The
know how
book
we
of
just.
Jasper. Hold on. The book of Jasper. Eve had four kids. She had two boys. No, she did have four. A lot of people. That's why I said I'm just starting on the book of Jasper. But Seth was supposed to replace what's his name? The one that got killed by Cain. Abel.
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 Seth was supposed to replace Abel. She had another son, and I believe she also had a daughter. She's supposed to have four kids, three boys, lost one of them, and only had three, which was Cain, who went and left, Seth that came to take the place of Abel, and then she gave birth to a girl.
Oh,
But
so
this
the
is all I got to in the book of Jasper now. That's all I got
okay.
to. So
But they
But I'm
you
thinking,
go
conceived.
do
I
that.
think it's simpler than that, y'all. Stay with me. I think it's simpler than that. Like we just talked about a little while ago, that everything didn't get put in the book, right? Like it's
Right.
a lot of stuff that happens. So if he told us how Eve got here. She put Adam to sleep, took the rib, that whole routine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just say, Brooke, that I'm teaching you, I'm giving you my recipe on how to make pigs in the blanket. I'm gonna walk you through that first pig in the blanket. I might even go on video and show you. You take the dough, you put the damn hot dog or what you have in there, you wrap it up and put the bacon around it, you throw it in the oven. Now, do I have to walk you through that step for the rest of the 11? I'm making a dozen. We make it a
Nope.
dozen. Do I have to walk you through them steps every time, or do you realize
I
that
got
the
it.
same you get? Okay, that
Right.
that part.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the wives and the mystery bitches came from.
That would make sense, but
Also now I'm
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 still
still debating on Lilith, is what I'm gonna say, because they did say Lilith was Adam's first
Adam's first
wife.
wife.
But Lilith is what a lot of women is, where she want to be independent and she don't need no man for
Well, wait
nothing.
a minute.
They
Hold
believe
on, Bazaar. Hold a second. How can Lilith be
just
anything to Adam when
yeah.
goddamn Eve came from Adam's rib? What?
But they
Eve
said
came
the
from
reason why
Adam's
God
rib.
made, but hold on, Brooke. The reason they said God made Eve is out of Adam's rib is because
Correct.
Lilith did not want to submit
Girl.
to no
Mm-hmm.
man. She
No,
didn't
I
want
don't
to
believe
be
that.
with no man. She wanted to be free and do what she wanted to do.
But that
So
didn't make
God
sense.
decided to make Eve for Adam.
That don't make sense, Bazaar. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because if we're
I
looking
mean,
at the 7-day mark, when God made man, man was on earth for a whole day without one man. He was bored. He was getting into stuff. That's why God made Eve. Where the hell Lilith ass was at? She was
Lilith,
made in
Lilith
I
what day?
believe, fell.
Lilith supposed to be in the background, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't believe that part with Lilith neither, because Lilith, if you look at her character, Lilith was also part of the Watchers that fell. If I'm gonna be honest, it was no different from the serpent in the Garden of Eden. And when you get to her story, her story doesn't start from the Garden of Eden. Her story seems to start from somewhere else, a part of the world that they ain't really did a breakdown on of Lilith. But I got to do more research on her. But I feel like Lilith's story don't start from the Garden of
Yeah.
Eden.
Go
She was
find that
Nope.
somewhere
hoe.
else.
Yeah, it's no way. Especially if you read the Bible, all 6 chapters of Genesis, and it breaks down exactly where Eve comes from and why Eve was on Earth. And once he
No, we
realized,
not disregarding. I'm sorry, bro. We not
okay,
disregarding Genesis. Go ahead.
right? So that's what I was saying. Because if that's the case, if we go by the Bible, let's say we go by the Bible and believe what the Bible say in reference to Adam and Eve, right? Ain't no such thing as no damn Lilith, because Eve was created due to Adam's boredness and him, that he needed a companion, that God recognized that he needed a companion. And once God recognized that, that's when he created Eve. And then he was able to go ahead and let them be fruitful and multiply together and have children. So I don't even know how the hell Lilith came about, because unless she was born in day what?
I
Day
think
3?
that she
What day
she
she was
just was
born?
put there because they be trying to figure out how women act or where they get this from. But Enoch tells you how women act, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lilith always trying to get in something. Lilith, go sit down somewhere. Go on, sit down, Lilith, because you wasn't even here. Don't you dare mess up that story. Okay? But I do believe that if it is true that Eve had a daughter, then that would make sense as to where the other families came from, because that means Cain and Abel had to have sex with one of the daughters in order for them to have a family. So it was incest. Absolutely.
I think the boys got laid out like their daddy and had women made from their ribs. It just wasn't conducive to the story. Like shit, I explained that to y'all one time. I got to explain it every time I create somebody. But that's just my thought on it.
What happened to pizza?
Probably her soundbite. So I mean, but
Oh,
that makes sense though, Miss Navy. But it's a lot of stuff that makes sense when you wanted to sit back and think about,
Mm-hmm.
like, civilization, where the heck we came from, our beings, and like, oh my god, it just makes a lot of sense when we sit back and read something that somebody else wrote. And for me, that's why I tend to, when I'm not a religious person. I don't own no religion. I will never own no religion ever again. Um, I believe in God. I believe in the Spirit of God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in spirituality. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to certain things, and I'm praying to my God and He's showing me signs, that's who I believe in. I'm not no Christian. I'm not no Catholic. I may be Christian like according to the Bible, but
Mm-hmm.
I am spiritual. Don't give me
Right.
no religion attachments at all, because God said that we are only supposed to worship one, and that's Him.
Right.
That's it.
I believe a lot of people get religion and tradition mixed up, and that's where, because I don't subscribe to Christianity either, but I guess if you had to put a blanket on it, I guess I would fall under Christianity, but I really don't
Yeah.
subscribe to
And
Christianity.
you know what? Let me tell you another reason why that story may also make sense about the brother and sister having the kids together. There
Mm.
are a lot of religions who practice incest. Did y'all know that?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. There's a lot of religions, like the cults and stuff, and they practice incest. And they got it from out the Bible.
well, I don't know if did we get to a main point of what we were trying to get at with the Book of Enoch with that discussion, because I had muted because I needed to go. I was trying to find in that other video where they were talking about like how we were created, because there's some people that even go but before, you know how like the book of the Bible or whatever is supposed to be the first thing of everything and how it was created, whatever. But apparently, from what they're gonna go to later in the video, there were beings before us. I guess they were called
Mm-hmm.
like the Anunnaki or the Anun and all these kind of different things. Not the Anunnaki. What am I saying? They're called. Oh my god, where did it go? Well, I have to go back to look at the name. It started with an A, but he was going into all that, and then he was describing how our bodies are made and stuff like that. And apparently, like, we have the same amount of water in our body that the Earth has in percentage wise, or we have iron, which is from the Earth, or we have the spiral in our spine matches something he said. I had to go back to the video, but I was trying to hurry up and do it while we were sitting here. But yeah, he goes deep into that, and I find that really interesting because essentially it goes against where we were created from incest, from just Adam and Eve. It goes against that a little bit, but it's interesting just to hear the different perspectives. Now, I'm not trying to change anybody's belief or anything like that. I just more so like to hear different stories and stuff, just for knowledge purposes.
And you're right, Trip. Because that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly how it is for me. I like to hear different people's views on how they view things, and in essential, that's what religion is. Religion is nothing but how the person who you are following, how they interpret the Bible. I can create my own religion. We can have a Brooke religion, baby, and y'all are going to follow what I feel like the Bible is telling me. That's all religion is. That's why it's named after people. You got John the Baptist. Those are what? Baptist people. You got Pentecostal. I forgot what the first name was. That's someone's last name. That is not something that's a person who split off from a part of Christianity and said, you know what? I don't like the way how Miss Newbie is interpreting the Bible. I don't want no more of nubiology. I don't want no more of her. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. But the person name is Bob Pentecostal. So now we got Pentecostals and then we got nubiologies. Both of them do the same thing, but they both have two different interpretations of what they believe the Bible is saying. That's why I don't follow the Bible. The religions. You can't interpret something for me. I gotta interpret it for myself.
Right.
Okay, I'm back. You can play it.
Okay. Ooh, let me.
Gods, and they forgot the Lord who had created them in the earth. And in those days the sons of men made images of brass and iron, wood and stone, and they bowed down and served them. And every man made his god, and they bowed down to them. And the sons of men forsook the Lord all the days of Enoch and his children. And the anger of the Lord was kindled on account of their works and abominations which they did in the earth. And the Lord caused the waters of the river Gihon to overwhelm them, and he destroyed and consumed them. And he destroyed the third part of the earth. And notwithstanding this, the sons of men did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were yet extended to do evil in the sight of the Lord. And in those days there was neither sowing nor reaping in the earth, and there was no food for the sons of men, and famine was very great in those days. And the seed which they sowed in those days in the ground became thorns, thistles, and briars. For from the days of Adam was this declaration concerning the earth, of the curse of God, which he cursed the earth on account of the sin which Adam sinned before the Lord. And it was when men
You can stop
continued
it
to
because
rebel and
he
transgress
goes
against
too
God
deep into it,
and to
child. We're
corrupt.
gonna be playing a whole hour video about the whole watchers and the structures that they built when they taught humans how to build these structures and all this stuff. So I have to actually find that timestamp. I thought it was right there, but it wasn't. But Trip said at an hour and 17-minute mark is an important timestamp for the other video. The one we just saw?
Yeah, the one that we were just on. That just talks about the when you were gone. I was trying to explain what he talks a little bit about the Adam story that is related to what we just talked about, because we went from a whole nother topic. Now we on the Adam and Eve story. So that timestamp is for that thread or that point, topic, whatever you want to call it. It's like I want to say it's like a 5-minute section in that video that talks about that Adam story a little bit. But it goes beyond the Book of Enoch. Like it goes before the Book of Enoch. So it'll definitely be a different way of thinking, I guess.
Okay.
So I don't know if you wanted to go down that rabbit hole really quick or not. We can just go back to whatever we were doing. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, that's up to Newbie. If You want to take it back to the? Because we can.
Yeah, we can go back to the other one. I like the way Trip keeping us in line. Like, focus, bitches.
Right.
Okay.
I know, right? I was getting ready to say the same thing. Like, okay, get back.
Cause I know, cause like, you know, when you get in debates with people in real life, like, I mean, I know we're in real life, but you know what I mean, like in person, it would just go out, it go all over the place, and you never really get to the topic. So that's why usually I'll try to like recap stuff. I had to do that with my boss. Like, he'll talk for like 20 minutes about 300
need you
things
to
when
be
we were literally
around.
talking about one thing.
We need you to be around when we have these type of conversations to bring us back. Because you can see where it was getting ready to, right?
Oh
Is
yeah,
you going live today?
No.
No.
I'm going live on members only tomorrow, but that's about it. I'm gonna once we get maybe like another 5 to 10 minutes, I'm gonna go do some other stuff because I literally my weekend is when I can actually go do stuff. You know, during the week I can't really do much. So.
Bro, they said, please, can you now eat?
God dang, get the fuck out of my phone. On my damn, god damn. I wasn't even smacking. Y'all get on my fucking nerves. Y'all hear everything. How y'all dox my food? I got my camera off and y'all still can hear it. God damn. Microbionic ears. Motherfuckers, get on my nerves.
We ready?
Yeah.
All right.
And they allowed them to wipe everyone out because certain things had happened. And there's a particular tablet I want people to read called The Myth of Adapa that goes into how the perfect human was created, known as Adapa, which was the later biblical term known as Adam, or Adamu was his original name. But Adapa was the same individual, and he was created in perfection. And I mean perfection like in the image of these creators. That's what you want to call them. That's why I want people to get away from this, dry away from the term like alien and ships. None of that happened here. The universe is much more sophisticated and amazing than we know. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question about that? So this cyclical effect where the Earth basically recycles itself every 13,000 years, do you suspect that's by infinite design, or is that part of a larger picture of the universe? I don't really understand the cause and effect behind that.
It's really, really complicated. And it's interesting because there's a set of tablets called the Enuma Elish, where it discusses how they may have played a hand in that. And that goes down to a completely another rabbit hole on why that they would want that. But we're going to get into that on number 10. So don't worry.
Okay.
But I want to leave everybody with understanding that we were created in perfection. I give you an example of evidence that shows that. Okay. If all of this is through Darwinism here, through natural evolutions on this planet, right? Take a human, for example, and people might not know this, and it's important that they look into this. Human beings, the symbol of the serpent, right? Why was the serpent shown, and the serpent and the dragon shown in these civilizations all around the world? It represents knowledge, but it represents something much greater than that. It represents the Kundalini spiral energy up our spinal cord of energy that exists within the human body that then fosters higher consciousness, where we can literally become like gods, like them, become as they are. Okay. If we have the right way, the right teachings, which is why these great sages and mystery schools will go out to these various places and find initiates that were different, that could be open-minded and intelligent enough to be able to follow these ancient teachings. And what's fascinating about that is within that energy center, which is why it's a serpent, because it's a coiled energy center within us, is what's known as the chakra centers. Okay. The chakra centers represent these 7 centers of energy, these almost like ley line convergence zones of the earth. That's why we're like created in perfection with the earth. The earth has got like 72% water. We have the exact same amount of water in our body. We have like the same iron in our blood, like the iron that spins the core of the earth. And also we have these convergence zones of energy known as chakra centers, just like the planet. That's what's wild about what we are and how important we are, and more than we're told. These chakra centers, this is what gets even crazier. The vibrational frequency of these chakra centers, we have 7 of them, exactly mimic the color, the 7 colors of the visible light spectrum. Okay. So you go outside, you're taking a walk and it starts raining, right? And then the sun comes out and it shines in, you see a rainbow and you see all the 7 colors of the rainbow in that order. That's the exact order that our chakra centers through their color, but also color is frequency, is exactly mimicked in that within us. We're like light beings. We've been created in perfection for this planet to be like these interpretations of light itself. That's why when people, great ascended masters throughout history, go through these teachings and they learn all this, all of a sudden they become truly conscious and wise, and you go near them and you're like, wow, your energy is amazing. Like, what have you been doing, right? And then that's what that is. They're literally, there's an aura of energy that they're creating that is basically unlocking the highest potential that exists within us. And that's why civilizations were created with all those teachings, and then they became corrupted all around the world and destroyed. That's the highlight I want to point out about this.
At the end of the show, before you jump, I would like to get your take on what's the point of all this. So you know all this information.
You can pause there, newbie.
Great.
If you want. I figured you was about to say something, newbie. That's why I thought you were about to pause it.
I'm trying to hold it until he get done, but this is where I was at earlier with Brooke with the aliens, and I get that ideology, but personally I feel it's all within us, but we have become so corrupt. We have come so far away from what we were meant to be that we just don't use it. You know, you hear people talk about the third eye and the wokeness and all of the things. We've gotten so far the F away from it that our full capability is not being realized. But if we get back to who we are, and God knows how to even do it now, but if we get back to who we are, we can move mountains with our minds.
Yep. And if you think about it, we're so cluttered with social media and all these things. You know how people go and say they're going on a retreat, and they go away from all their devices and everything. They're in the mountains or wherever they want to do it at for, I don't know, let's just say like 5 months, 6 months, a year at a time. And they come back and they seem so wise. They seem so energized. They have like this aura about them. It's because they're finally starting to get away from all this junk and clutter that's preventing your inner mind from unlocking those different types. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
that is what we're just, yeah, we are kind of going backwards in a way, at least with our consciousness, I feel like.
Our flesh has overtaken us, and that's just what it is. And to me, that is just what it is. When we talk about meditation, how long do we do it? 20 minutes, an hour. You got people that meditate round the clock that do nothing but, and don't even get me into our actual voices. It's, let me shut up.
No, you keep talking. And that's why, you know how they have that thing called shower thoughts? And they say you get all these great ideas in a shower. That's where I go to think a lot of times. That's because you don't have no devices. You don't have nothing blocking you. You're just with you and yourself, alone with your own mind.
And that water. Yes, God. Go ahead.
I was going to say too, I heard when he mentioned the aliens, I'm going to have to probably look at this in my own time. But he said he don't like to use the word aliens. Well, unfortunately, the word aliens, and I think we are all saying the same thing, but we're saying it by using different names, in reference to like the different things and different animals and the different spiritual beings that's here.
Y'all still there? My line went quiet.
Yeah, I thought it didn't seem like she finished her point. You finished your point, Brooke? I thought you were still saying more. It seemed like you got cut off, but
Right.
No, I had to hit the mute real quick. I'm sorry. But yeah, like I was saying, when it comes down to that, and it's crazy. Have you guys ever did y'all get a chance to listen to the alien interview that Leaky had put on her channel? I had told you guys about.
I didn't.
I need y'all to go look at that. Can you triple read? I know Fazar didn't. I tagged her on it. But I need y'all to go look at that because
No, I did not.
you gotta look at it because everything
Girl,
that
it's
this
too
man
much
is
shit y'all
saying.
be having me look at now.
But it makes sense because of what we're talking about. Literally, that alien said damn near almost the exact same stuff that this man's saying.
Ooh,
That's what
okay,
I'm
well, wait.
saying.
Put a pin in that real quick because there was a lot of people wanting Newbie to finish her thought. Let her finish that thought, and then we can circle back around to that, and then send me that video on the wall or whatever too, because then we'll look at that.
Okay.
Maybe that can be for like a part 2 or
Yeah.
something.
Okay. I sure will.
Yeah.
Neeby had
So.
finished her thought. I don't think
Mhm.
she wanted. You wanted to keep going, Miss Neeby, because they
Yeah, I
want you to
think
keep
I had
going.
kind of wrapped up just basically if getting back to who we are and quieting our minds, which my next thought, I don't know if I said it, but my next thought was the conscious versus the subconscious mind. You know, the subconscious mind is a sponge. It believes whatever you tell it. The conscious mind, the mind in the front, the woke mind, is the reasoning mind. That if you told me the sky was green, my reasoning mind would say, no, it's blue. But look at what we fill our reasoning mind with: social media and all this crazy shit on TV and all this wild music. This is what we filling that mind with, and it's battling with the conscious mind, which is where God resides. We are functioning off of our frontal lobe. We function in that front mind, but we cluttering it and filling it up with garbage, and it's pushing us so far away from our purpose and who we are.
So, can I ask you another question, Miss Neeby?
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that time has anything to do with any of this?
Time?
Mm-hmm.
Not really,
What
because
you
I'm a
mean?
person that believes that time is fluid.
What you
Like,
mean?
time travel,
Brooke?
time travel, time travel.
Girl, bye.
See, y'all saying girl bye, but everything plays a big part in all of
Girl,
this
who time
because
travel? Who time
that's what
travel?
I'm
Ain't
saying.
nobody from the future done came here, bro.
Yes, they have, Pazal. Yes, they
Who?
have. I broke it down to you the last time how they have now. I gotta break it down again. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what you
Mm-hmm.
want me? So I can give you one example. The
Wait,
pyramids. The pyramids.
wait, Brooke. Before you do that, can Pizarro, can you respond on all that we just learned from this video? We never even got your thoughts on it, and then we can go to the pyramids or the time travel.
Oh,
Because
here
I feel
he
like you ain't gonna never give
go.
us your opinion.
um, well, what he's saying about energy and all that stuff, I agree. We is connected with energy. I mean, to me, we're kind of made out of energy. So y'all keep talking about aliens and shit, but they're not aliens. I don't know why they keep going into the explanation of aliens. And
He
this is
did
what
not
he's
say. He said that he doesn't believe in aliens, or that's not what he was
well,
trying to
He
say.
he's
But
said
go
he
ahead.
doesn't name them aliens. He said he don't call them aliens.
he
He
don't
don't like
call
the
them
name
that, but he kind
aliens.
of
That's what they
giving
are.
information of them though. Alien technology is what they calling it, but is it really alien technology? Is it our technology that was given to us?
He's saying it's our technology. He's saying that we were created perfectly images from these creators. So
There
what
isn't
I'm
no creators.
okay, well, whoever birthed us is whatever he want to call them. He called them the noon or
It's
whatever. You know,
yeah.
it start with an A.
His name is
But
yeah.
who?
Yeah.
Okay, we talking about from
Yahweh.
the video particularly, not your outside knowledge. What is your thoughts on the particular video? Because you talking about alien technology, but he never talked about alien technology.
What he explaining right here with these, what is these energy stones or something? I'm gonna need her to go back for me for that one because y'all was talking about some other shit, so I kind of forgot what the fuck he said.
See, that's what
He
happened when
said
you
a bunch
lose
of
these threads.
bullshit, but he
What you
said
mean
a
a bunch
lot
of
of shit.
bullshit?
Because he's talking about something ain't no damn aliens, and it is. I'm telling you, if y'all like to use the word aliens, fine. We're not gonna use the word aliens, but I
Aliens
promise
mean
you,
they came from somewhere else, though, Brooke. If the Earth is the originator and they were on the Earth just before us, that doesn't mean they were aliens. That's why he doesn't like to call them that.
well, they travel back in time, and that's where time travel come back to. Because I do believe that back in that time frame, when the Egypts and stuff, and when they was building the pyramids, those people couldn't do that at that time with what they had. They didn't have technology to move any of that stuff. How did they move it on their backs? How do they build it to perfection? Pyramids are built perfected. And you mean to tell me that back in that timing, when there was no things that can carry bricks, there were no bulldozers, there were none of that there. You mean to tell me that back in that time, people was able to do that? Come on, man.
And that's where, well, wait, I don't want to talk because I want Pisa to get her thing. So do you need her to replay it, Pisa? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, go back to that time stamp you said so I can rehear it. Because y'all the ones who kind of went into deeper meanings and stuff, but
No, me and Newbie gave our perspectives on it. And then we was waiting on y'all to, then we went to another area.
So you want me to back it up to the times to 117?
Yes, please, so she can hear it.
Okay.
And before you click play, I just want to say they say they can understand Brooke's thought process. I think Brooke has a whole different thing that we can jump into. That's gonna be like another 30-minute conversation. That's the only reason why I don't want her to jump into it yet, because that's another rabbit hole itself. Do you agree, Brooke? That's another rabbit hole.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole, and I've heard bits and pieces of that rabbit hole, but I would definitely like to hear your perspective on it. But anyway, go ahead.
Because certain things that happened, and there's a particular tablet I want people to read called "The Myth of Adapa" that goes into how the perfect human was created, known as Adapa, which was the later biblical term known as Adam, or Adamu was his original
in the
name.
Building.
But Adapa was the same individual, and he was created in perfection. And I mean perfection, like in the image of these creators. That's what you want to call them. That's why I want people to get away from the term like alien and ships. None of that happened here. The universe is much more sophisticated and amazing than we know. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question about that? So this cyclical effect where the Earth basically recycles itself every 13,000 years.
Y'all,
do
we
you
gonna have to
suspect that's by infinite design, or is that?
Let me break something down real quick, right?
Wait, QI.
Did you hear it, Pazal?
I gotta come back. Emergency. Bye.
Okay.
Okay. Goodbye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.